So excited to be here. I love your home.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Yeah, we like it.
Yeah.
We like it.
It's cool.
So before we get started, I have to say, do all the things that you do to show love to a podcast that you support. Subscribe, rate, review on iTunes. It helps the most. And also join our Patreon. This podcast, what you're going to witness right now is the above. Our Patreon is below, as above is below. So you got to come check us out down there. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. 2 Jack Bros After Dark.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you call it?
Yeah, it gets a little. So
I like that.
I mean, if you
it's
don't
like
know,
a porn I saw when I was younger.
I think a lot of people are really just tuning in, hoping.
Yeah. I also
that
tried to jack my bros after dark, and it didn't work out too well.
All right. So, Ian, do you know what we do here on this podcast?
No. Good. You told me to come in blind.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So basically what we do is we take our guests through the process of reaching enlightenment by opening up their chakras from the ground up.
Whoa.
So that, we can learn a little bit or get close to a higher consciousness through you. Right?
Hell yeah.
And the whole premise is to prove that like people with a dark sense of humor can also reach a higher consciousness.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that.
Yeah.
Ian's into it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Open me up.
Feeling
Hell
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Chakra me.
So before we get started, the first question we like to ask everybody is, Ian Fidance,
yes.
What situation or experience has given you the most information in life?
What situation has given me the most information in life? Information how? Like immediate knowledge or a slow drip throughout the years?
We ask the question and back off.
Oh my God.
It's however it comes, however it hits you.
I mean, I don't know where to distill it to just one experience.
I will eventually ask you that question.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
You're not the only Jack bro in the room. I don't know. I've had so many different experiences that have given me like knowledge. I guess in a roundabout way, you're asking about like the most impactful experience, I guess.
If that's the way you take it.
I mean, I would have to say, my father died when I was 8, and that's definitely impacted me the most, but given me the most knowledge in the sense of kind of more of an understanding of things. Like when someone says to you, like, you'll understand when you're older. Like that's like the classic example of that. Like things will make sense with this when you're older, and at the time you don't recognize or realize or can really learn things from it until you're like old enough to even process it. But I mean, like, I don't know, that impacted my knowledge and point of view on things, but at the same time, another thing that has impacted and shaped my view of things, I mean, that's definitely shaped how I look at things, the way I process information through the lens of like, is it as bad as your father being ripped away? No? Well, then I don't really think it's that big of a deal. But then at the end of the day, it's also like, that's very subjective on my part. But
that must make you almost intolerable at points.
No.
Nothing is as bad as that.
No, that's my like internal. I don't throw that on other people.
Oh, hell yeah.
I keep that to myself. Of like when if I get upset or mad at something, I'm like, is it really that bad? Is it really worth me? Whatever. But I also think something that I learned a lot from was just the experience of getting sober, and like I've learned through my personal experience that people can very much change, and to never discount someone based on who they are in a certain moment, because I know through my experience people are going through a very specific thing to them at certain points, and as an outsider I don't know what they're going through, and I know that because I've gone through so much, and that has taught me knowledge, acceptance, understanding, and I think those two things are very they meet at the intersection of my, I guess, like view and understanding of the world around me.
It's pretty sick. He's perfect for this podcast.
I know. I have so many questions already.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Did your journey or your struggle with drinking, was that directly tied to dealing with aftermath of losing your dad?
I think subconsciously,
Yeah.
but I don't think that it was a choice I made, to like immediately escape. But drinking did allow me to deal with it emotionally in a way that I couldn't or didn't prior without drinking. Drinking allowed me to access emotions that I had to, for my own self-preservation, push down, not deal with, and the alcohol and drugs allowed me to feel it in a way, but to also escape from the reality of that feeling.
Yeah.
Were you like a bipolar addict, like super fun guy, super cry guy?
Oh my God. Yeah, dude. I used to get hammered at parties and grab people and be like, do you think my dad's proud of me? And they're like, bro, we asked you to get us a beer. Come back with the heaviest question of all time. Just hand us a solo cup and leave, you fucking freak. So, yeah, it was definitely a couple, call me a swing set because I was swinging around, baby. Call me a playground because I was swinging.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, and you...
Hey, is it?
I mean, all your friends stuck around.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean,
yeah.
like the comedy friends that I know that we all have in common.
Yeah. And I was just at a wedding last night of a guy I've been buddies with since, oh my God, we were like 13, 14, 12. And two of my friends there, we've been friends since we were like 10. So that's like, what, 27 years? And so they, I mean, literally the guy whose house I stayed at last night, his son is like my nephew, he's like a bro, you know what I mean? He literally like had to knock me out to get me in a car to take me to a hospital, and he like took my vodka away. We like fought in my kitchen. He punched me in the hospital, and dude,
that's
I'm
a real friend.
the uncle to his son.
Dude, shout out to that guy. He's the fucking man.
Yeah, so they, for better or worse, they stuck by me, and my friends in comedy too. We've all put each other through the ringer, but we're all still friends, and I think I don't know, I think that speaks to me, but more so speaks to the company I keep, that I'm fortunate enough to have really understanding, loyal people around me,
Yeah, you also hang out with a lot of black people.
Yeah. Yep.
Black people can tolerate a lot of shit.
Yep. And they don't really let you tolerate it because you'll be like, I'm going through this. Like, all right, now keep your head up. Just move on. I'm like, what about my feelings?
No, cut him off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's up. So, I mean, you already distilled the information into the lesson, or not the lesson, but what you learned. So I don't need to ask you that question.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get right into opening up these chakras. All right. So we're gonna start with the bottom chakra, which is the survival chakra, which is located in your butthole. Ian.
What?
Yes.
I've definitely had to access that to survive a couple times.
Yeah. Ansley, you want to take this question?
Yes. Ian, how did you learn to overcome fear?
How did I learn to overcome fear? I think that's a lesson I keep learning, because fear never goes away. I think it can be dealt with. The best way to go through fear, to overcome fear, is to go through it and to get to the other side, to be uncomfortable, to get to that place of comfortability. And that's a lesson and a thing I have to keep going through, because fear will always crop up. It's not like you deal with it one day and it's just gone.
Right.
It's something that can come up in many different forms. And I think in knowing that and dealing with it, I can now recognize it when it exists. So like in a situation, I can actively say, like, I may need a cigarette before I say, I may need to like cool off and just process, but I can be like, hey, I'm living in fear right now, which is why I'm acting this way. And I'm fearful of this. I'm fearful of that. I'm feeling this. And that allows me to like see it, recognize it, and process it and put it aside, rather than letting that fear rule my actions and behaviors and just being a whirling dervish, spinning around, knocking things over. Like I used to be that way. And now I can kind of slow the spinner around and be like, okay, why am I spinning? Why is this? Okay, I'm feeling fear. I'm feeling anxiety. I'm feeling this. And then I can look at that and then kind of parse it together and then go through it. But it comes back, but I just know how to deal with it better now, you know.
Can you remember when you were the most scared? And actually, before you answer that, I kind of cracked up laughing at the idea of Ansley trying to say whirling dervish.
Can you say
Whirling dervish?
All right, but
There
you
it
heard
is.
two people say it back to back. Like if she would have tried to like access that, it would have been like 3 minutes.
When Durley Werbishes.
access your Durling Werbish chakra?
Yeah. So
When did I feel what?
the most? Can you remember a situation where you were the most scared?
Man, scared how?
Ooh, good question. Answer that for us.
Feeling the most scared. I don't know. I mean, I have felt being scared and fear comes and goes, you know, like, I mean, to this day, I still get scared if my mom doesn't pick up the phone and I'm like, oh, she's dead. My mom is dead. She's gone, you know, or if like I call someone and they don't pick up, I like immediately my first thought is like dead. And that's, you know, a scary feeling, you know.
I had that as well when I called you and you didn't answer the phone.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, I fucking killed it in 5 hands.
Yeah,
what am I doing?
Yeah, there
what
it
am I doing
is.
with this dumb podcast?
There it is. Yeah. I mean, I the most scared, I don't know. I mean, like, the most like immediate prickly, like rat in a corner scared, being in jail. Like, what? Like, that's a very scary feeling,
I kept
you know?
thinking like the fear that like made your butthole pucker the most, and I'm like, yeah, that might be it.
Yeah, being in jail.
How
Or
long
like,
were you in jail?
I never stayed long, just like overnight. Yeah.
Visiting.
Multiple occurrences.
Yeah. It was just like overnights in jail. And that's like very scary. And that's made me, you know, empathize a lot more with people that have been locked up or, you know, going away for it's, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. It's so, oh God, and I was only in there 24 hours. I couldn't imagine a lifetime or even like a year or whatever. Oh God.
Were you in a holding pen or were you in like a
I was like in a pen with a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
you
So
know.
how many occurrences of an overnight stay in jail did you have before getting sober?
Oh, I had him, got sober, drank again, had him again, got sober. You know, I mean, a big scary feeling is not knowing if you can ever quit drinking. Like drinking, wanting to quit, not knowing if you can. You know what I mean? Like that's incredibly scary. You know, like going through withdrawal, alcoholic withdrawal, and like being like, am I gonna die? Like if I don't drink again, I could seize out. Like,
Yeah.
what is going to happen to me? My life is ruined. Everyone hates me. What the fuck? Everything is piling up against me. You know, that's a really scary feeling. That's like a butthole puckering.
Yeah.
You know, like I got to make some changes or else I'm going to die.
This is going to be a very easy episode.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about this. So, if you could, though, for us, because like Ansley and I have never spent the night in jail. Like, what was the scariest part of that?
Did you sleep at all? Like, do you?
My first time in jail, no.
Yeah.
I stayed up the entire night. But then afterwards, I was like, all right, here are a couple tricks. But no, the first time I spent the night in jail, I stayed up the entire time. I was freaked out. I was scared. Everyone seemed to know each other. And I was like the outsider there. Also, I was the only white. So like that alone. And also, I didn't know anyone, and they all knew each other, and I was very scared and nervous because I had a job interview the next day, and I kept going like, when do you think we'll get out of here? I have a job interview. And they would just be like,
the
I don't know,
whitest thing you
man.
could say in
Yeah. I have a white job interview. And like, I didn't know when I was going to see the judge. I didn't know when a lawyer was going to come. All these other people were getting called. And you're like, well, how long have you been waiting? How long have you been waiting? And I'm waiting. And you're doing like the jail math in your head, you know? And Dude, it was wild. Like every time a guy would go to the cage, see his lawyer, and get out, they'd open the cell, he would leave, and everyone would be like, "Stay up, fam. All right, see you. Blah blah. Bye, Kenny." You know, like they all knew each other. Yeah. And then when I left, fucking this guy goes. He goes, "Good luck at the job interview, faggot." And they're all like, "Ah!" And I was like, I was like the job interview guy because I kept being like, "Am I gonna make it?" Like I was so nervous, so scared. So, you know, I added that to my little algorithm. So the next time when I went to jail, I beep boop bop boop computed, don't open your mouth. And I popped off to one guy, and I thought I was gonna I thought I was gonna get my ass kicked, but we smoothed it out, and I ended up giving him my sandwich to cool it over. But yeah, it was a little contentious for a minute. Yeah, never mouth off to a crackhead in a jail cell at fucking 5 a.m.
It's also funny to me how black people can make an absolutely positive thing the most embarrassing thing in your life.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And such an incredibly negative thing into just a hoot and hollering good old family reunion fun time. You know? Like, we're literally in jail, and they're all like, enjoy it, like hanging out, having a good time, just talking, spreading gossip, Meanwhile, I'm there like, well, can I have another orange? Please.
Is the toilet in the corner of the cell?
No, the toilet's right. It's against a wall, but there's no...
there's no hiding that dick.
There's no hiding it.
Yeah.
And, this guy, one time this guy was like having to take a shit, and he was like, "Where do I go?" And he's like, "Right there." And he's like, "I can't go in front of everyone." And the guy's like, "You better learn."
I feel like I'd be constantly making excuses for my dick every time I went to the bathroom. Like, listen, I know you see what you see, but I'm very strong and athletic. Like, this doesn't represent me fully. I also study hard.
Oh my god, dude! I the last time I spent the night in jail, it like really evolved. There was a kid that was crying like for the nurse, or was like, "I don't belong here, man. I'm like anime, man. I draw cartoons. I don't belong here." And these guys like, "It's all right, young boy. It's all right. Just breathe. Just breathe." They were like coaching him through and started being like, "You pussy." I was like, "This is beautiful." And that was my mistake saying that out loud.
Oh, this motherfucker believes in beauty and shit.
Yeah. This is a real moment, huh, fellas? Why are you taking your pants down?
Man, that was awesome. That is a fear chakra unlocked.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
We're just moving right along.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to hop into the next chakra. The next chakra is the pleasure guilt chakra located in the pelvis. Ansley, take it away.
So this is a segment we like to call My Bad. So it's a chance for you to give an apology to a person, place, or thing in the universe in order to set your karma back to neutral. So it's not necessarily an apology that anybody or thing is ever going to hear, but it's just a chance for you to get something off your chest.
Oh, like a confession to a priest, the whole world will hear.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Interesting.
100%.
Completely the antithesis of what confession is.
Confessed it to unqualified smartards.
Yeah. An apology I want to make to the world.
Any person, place, or thing, any noun.
I shoplift, and I just want to apologize. I kind of enjoy it. And also I feel like, the government's stolen so much money from me. I might as well just steal from, like Rite Aid or Home Depot.
like nail polish and chapstick, but like the male version of that, or
or like I was in Wawa and I stole, wasabi almonds, and I stole a card from Rite Aid for my friend's wedding.
I know Ansley probably has a lot of questions because she used to be a pathological shoplifter.
Really?
No, I totally. You're
You
like
a kleptomaniac?
not. I mean,
Well, I was able to coax it out of her.
yeah. No, I
When we
just
met.
enjoyed the thrill.
Yeah,
and also,
it's
like,
thrilling.
you're like, this is a big box store. You know,
Yeah.
like, wouldn't steal from an individual. But
No,
like
I
you
would never
said,
steal from a mom and pop. I would
Yeah.
never steal from a human person.
Yeah.
I would never rob someone again. I would never steal from people
like
again
lightning.
on an individual level. I'm a different maybe I'm not a different person because I'm still stealing, and that's not really a good thing to do. But it's I don't know. It's kind of thrilling sometimes.
Yeah.
What was
And the whole world's going to shit, so what can you do?
what's the most fun thing you've ever stolen?
I don't know. There's a thrill of getting away with it, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think my best was I was in like it was like mittens. I stole mittens.
Really?
Yeah.
You just put them on and walk out.
Wow. Well, one thing I like to do is whenever I'm on the road, coming back, whatever airport I'm at, I steal something from my girlfriend. And it's usually socks of the town I'm in. So like I'll get like, Minnesota Viking socks at the airport or something like that. Like I'll steal her like a little trinket or something like that.
If they ever caught you, I feel like they could they'd be like, no, exactly. Like the evidence is all right there.
Oh yeah, it's all in her socks.
Yeah.
Just go to her sock drawer and you'll find out where I was for the past year. No, the airport is very easy to steal from.
Oh, that seems scary.
It is. No, it's the security is shockingly low. They're almost enticing you to steal.
Oh yeah.
Like
Bags of chips,
Yeah.
neck pillows. It's super easy.
it's like you walk into one of those shops in an airport and they just turn their head.
Yeah.
It's insane.
There's so
Yeah.
much security in an airport, though. Like I know they're
Outside.
not.
Well, there's so much
top
outside security,
Yeah.
but people that are working at a Hudson News aren't
Yeah.
really, also working security.
Yeah, I'm like I'm too terrified to steal. But when I go into any airport store, I just I'm flush with sweat and panic because I feel like I should steal.
Well, I mean, they upcharge you so much at an airport too. A bottle of water is like $7. You're like, what?
Yeah.
What is this? No,
Yeah.
this is a human right to have water, and I'm gonna stand up for my fellow man by stealing this.
If it wasn't that if I were to steal from an airport, I would be stealing the gayest thing. It would be parfaits. Those parfaits look delicious.
Oh my
They're so
God!
good.
I've
Yeah,
never
yeah.
had an
$10
airport parfait.
parfait.
Yeah.
It's so expensive, but I'm just like, oh my God, I could
Steal
steal
an
that.
eyebrow threading kit.
That's sick. All right, man. So that's another Chakra Unlocked. That was easy.
Yeah.
That was so easy.
Yeah.
Man, I'm glad to know that you steal.
I apologize to the universe for that. But see, I also try to offset that bad karma with good karma. And I like to do things for people, or I always try to, I'll volunteer, and then I'll, give stuff to homeless people or donate clothes and food. And I get cartons of cigarettes specifically for homeless people. So I have a pack for myself, and I have a homeless pack that I walk around in. So when they ask for money, I go, I don't have, you want a cigarette? And I'm like, oh, all right. Or they say no and
Yeah.
leer at me.
It's like Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wow. Ansley, you want to take the next one?
Oh. When the next one,
I'll do it.
Yeah,
All right, here we go.
You gotta get this specific.
Yeah, I like this. This is
I
my,
know.
I enjoy this one.
Yeah.
Ian, how do you move past disappointment?
Huh.
And of course, this is the third chakra that has to deal with confidence and self-esteem. This is located in the gut. We're moving up.
Move past disappointment. Well, you got to kind of look at it like a hand in poker. If you obsess about your last hand, you're not going to play your next hand well. And if you obsess about the hand coming up, you're not going to play the hand you have. You're going to end up losing more. And so your poor hand that you just played is only going to fuck up your future hands. So you just got to go, well, this is the hand I was dealt on this one. Love it or leave it. It happened. Time to move on.
Wow, the best answer we've gotten in that.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, wow, that was brilliant. Dude, tell us more. You're such a sage. So
Came from a lot of pain, a lot of disappointment to learn that one.
Can you remember when you were the most disappointed in yourself, or if you have multiple occurrences, you can?
I mean, it happens all the time. I mean, that's how and sometimes I let it hang on and it floats back. And then, a lot of times I have to, really breathing a lot and recognizing, okay, I'm feeling this way, and just kind of like breathe it out. Like my therapist taught me this leaves on a stream. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Like your thoughts are like leaves floating down a stream. When you have obsessive, intrusive thoughts or whatever, imagine your thoughts are leaves on a stream, and put that negative thought on the leaf and watch it flow away down the stream. But when I do it, it's more like just like garbage in a storm drain, just like, or like a toilet, just like swirling around, thrashing about, like a tsunami. Yeah. And it's just flooding more and more and more, and children are dying.
Yeah.
Literally, I've had visions of like a negative thing or person in my head, and I close my eye, and I'm trying to picture them peacefully floating away, and myself going, goodbye. But what's happening is them swirling, thrashing around, and me being like, get out, just leave. It's different for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I would be chasing my leaf to make sure that it was faster than other people's leaves.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like, is that a good leaf?
Yeah.
Did I pick the right leaf?
Yeah.
Man, that was all right. So, but like as far as like an individual moment of disappointment that kind of sticks in your mind, you don't really. They just all blend together for you.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent a lot of time living in regret and everything, and it's really gotten me nowhere. So, I try when it does come up to just like sometimes I will physically shudder and be like to like shake it out of my head, Like sometimes when I get around booze, if I smell alcohol or if I catch myself looking at it, I'll physically shudder. Like it still has that visceral reaction to me of like, ugh. And then I go, okay, I gotta move away from this, and that'll happen sometimes with my thoughts or feelings, and then I let that happen, and then I move away from it.
How long has it been since you've stopped drinking?
Since 2015.
Oh, wow.
But I first tried in 2008.
Oh, okay.
And honestly, the wedding I was at was, I knock on wood, I'm not going to drink. I do not want to drink. My life is incredibly well. Things are going incredibly well. And the second I drink, everything goes to shit. So I'm not sitting there like, I wish I was. But being around all the people I used to run with and, my like drug buddies and my drinking buddies and seeing them all blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That it not like hard, like what was me, but I had to take a lot of smoke breaks. I had to walk away a lot, Yeah. And it's funny because my buddy who was like my running buddy and he kept drinking. I mean, I called him from rehab one time from a payphone. I was like, hey man, I'm in a rehab. And he's like, well, who am I going to get drunk with at the beach now? And he wants to quit drinking.
Oh.
So how wonderful is that? I get to now be of
Yeah.
service to
You're
him.
collecting new running buddies.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah. So that was, there were a couple like shudders when I would like get a whiff of it. But, I know myself. I know what to do. It's not a situation where I'm like, my sobriety is threatened. It's just like, sometimes those memories and thoughts come flooding back.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Don't
It's
worry
life.
about the dog barking. It can't be picked up on the microphones for some reason.
Oh, perfect.
So what about when you were a kid, when you were, as far as disappointment is concerned, because I'm curious about that, considering from 8 on, you didn't have a father. And as a father with a kid, it just seems like a lot of like my son dealing with disappointment is easy because he has a dad, right? Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah.
Like, so did you have any overwhelming disappointments that stick in your mind from childhood?
Oh, everything. every day was disappointing because I didn't have my best friend.
Yeah.
You know, every day sucked. And you're constantly thinking that you're disappointing this person because you're told they're with you now forever. They're watching you. And so you're like, oh, great. They're watching me at my worst. They're watching me when I fail. They're watching me, you know, and that started this like weird judgmental thing that's not real. I put that on there from what I was being told.
Yeah.
But my dad in human form did nothing but love me, encourage me, support me, you know, encourage me. And in death, that wouldn't change. But my perception changed because then this whole he's with you now forever thing made me think he was with me at my worst and judging me and hating me for misbehaving and all this stuff. When in reality, he was still loving me no matter what, you know? And it took me a long time to realize that. And so I spent a very, very long time being ashamed and feeling shame for a lot of things, very serious things, or even very innocuous things like, you know, you weren't polite enough, or like you didn't do the, you know, you didn't hold the door for this person. Your dad's mad at you, you know? So it was like every single moment for over 2 decades, I was thinking in this line of thinking, you know?
Yeah.
Which can be like a lot.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious about that because, so what from childhood to adulthood changed to help you stop doing that to yourself?
Alcohol. It made those thoughts go away, and I could drink myself into oblivion and not have to think about that. And then it gave me the emotional courage enough to scream out to him and talk to him and access those emotions. And then, you know, I would do terrible things while drunk, feel shame, and then have to get drunk again to make it go away. And it was this constant cycle of insanity, you know?
You were like Simba screaming at the clouds.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was very, by medical definition, sick. I was very unwell.
It is, but there is something to getting something out of your body rather than holding it in.
Well, that's why I feel like crying is so important, because it truly releases toxins and this sludge that we have inside of ourselves that you need to like release, because we hold all this stuff in, and there are different like, you know, valves we open that let steam out. And the best way I feel is to just bleed it all out. I'm not saying like, you know, at dinner with your friends or like, you know, at an open mic or like fucking on stage.
Or just like naming all the time, all the situations you've done it in.
Yeah. Or like on a podcast at Conshohocken. You know? But I do feel like crying is so important in accessing those emotions, and like, you know, giving yourself the time, space, and comfort on your own to cry and tap into that is so important and therapeutic and cathartic. And it's like an ayahuasca trip inside your own body, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you don't need ayahuasca. You don't need mushrooms. You don't need these things to have this experience, man. I mean, that's a shortcut, but the long, hard road to it is just a lot of, you know, work that can get you there. And then I've had spiritual experiences without any drugs or alcohol. You know, I've had experiences of sober body and mind that have been transcendent because I've allowed myself and worked my fucking dick off to get to a point where I can feel these things and access these things emotionally, spiritually, mentally through, you know, different forms of therapy and recovery. And it's great. You know, it's really amazing.
That would be also a great excuse for your dick in jail.
What?
Like, no, dude, I worked it off trying to get my shit together, dude. I'm like having transcended experiences. That's why I don't have a dick. Don't look over here. Have my dick.
You're still on the having a little dick in prison thing. Yeah. That's so funny.
I just feel like criminals have big dicks.
Sidney, when have you felt disappointment? Sidney, let's access some things inside of you.
Well, that's a chakra unlocked here. We're going to move on from that.
All right, the chakra takes place in your penis.
It probably does for most people.
Yeah.
All right, Ansley.
There's got to be like a ball chakra of like testosterone, I bet.
I'm pretty sure. Well, I mean, we might figure that out when we get to the Patreon. Maybe in the shadow self.
Maybe
it's located in the balls. In the
definitely
testicle.
shadowy.
Yeah. All right, Nancy, take us away.
All right, so this is your heart chakra, deals with love and compassion. What have you learned from grief?
What have I learned from grief? I don't know, there's many different forms of grief. You can grieve anything, really. You know, I guess what I've learned from grief is that, I mean, this is such like a cheesy quote, I guess, but I've recently looked at it in a different way, of the idea of this too shall pass, in the sense that people always say that when you're going through something tough or a rough time or this, that, the other, you know, like, hey, you're going to get better. It's going to pass. Things will get better. Well, you got to think on the flip side too. When things are really great, you got to know this is going to pass. Yeah. Which means you got to be prepared for when it goes back on the downside. And when you're on the downside, you got to remember, well, I was feeling good before, so this bad thing will pass and I'll feel good again. And not to be like, well, the good thing's going to end, but it's just to makes you almost appreciate it more, because it's like, look, like, hang on to this. It's not going to last. So enjoy it, hang on to it, keep it in your pocket so that you know when you feel bad, it can come back again. But also when you feel bad, you can realize that this isn't going to be forever either.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think that's one way to like look at grief, I feel, you know.
It's brilliant. I mean, it's the perfect way. And I think there's some sort of that answer is pretty common for this podcast, right? And I don't want to make any assumptions, but but I'm going to. I'm literally going to. But this situation, the most grief induced situation in your life, was that the passing of your father? And the reason why I asked that is because you were 8, and to be able to, the older you get, the more things you can take on in grief.
Right, but I mean, like, there are 5 stages of grief, and when you're 8 years old, you're not really processing things in those, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 to 2, 3 to 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5 stages, you know? So like your grief processing and processing in general is, I mean, you're still processing I still have baby teeth, you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm still like growing and processing and figure things out. So then to add something that heavy to it, like, you're not going to process that as a kid, and that comes up later. So you just subconsciously develop these ways of living, these defense mechanisms, these like workarounds for dealing with it that then come up later in life. And I mean, this is just for me. I don't know, you know, maybe some kids lose someone when they're younger and they really hit it head on, or, you know, even like later in life, something happens and you deal with it. Who knows? There's no like the only thing I've learned is that there's no real rule book for any of this stuff. You know, it's different for everyone, but I will say the stages of grief, recognizing them is really important for getting over it. Like, I went through a wildly abusive and traumatic relationship with a person who I'm not going to get into it. It was incredibly bad. As an adult, it was like the worst and hardest year of my entire like adult life. I would put it on par with almost like worse than the other thing. Because just so psychologically abusive and manipulative and everything. But in getting over that, I was experiencing these stages of grief, you know, and like it almost like, I don't know, it very much, I don't even know the 5 stages of grief. What are they?
Well, I mean, I was going to ask you to answer. I mean, because we get it. We know we're smart. We're super smart, and we know them. But we'd rather you.
Yeah. Well, hey, I
dig deep and figure out what they are.
What is it like?
Denial, acceptance,
anger, rationalization, or whatever. I don't know.
And 2 Jack Bros.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. It's what I'm saying is it's weird to look at this traumatic event that I went through as an adult and deal with that, knowing what grief is and knowing the process and steps of grief and recognize, oh, I'm feeling angry.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? This is because I'm going through this stage of grief. This is actually positive. I'm feeling this.
Yeah.
Whereas when I was a kid, I was feeling all these different things and I had no fucking clue what they were.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You know, like in a way, like dealing with this as an adult, like I started looking at myself as a kid and I was like, oh, for these years I was dealing in this stage. I didn't even realize it, you know?
Was your mom and dad in a positive relationship when he passed?
Yeah.
Is it weird to, or is it, I don't know if weird's the right word, but insightful or interesting to whatever you experienced with your mom as you were a child and then to look back on it as an adult and like her, however she must have dealt with her grief of that situation?
Yeah, I've had to really learn a lot of forgiveness.
Yeah.
But you know, like a very, you know, to go back to that word you just said, weird, a very weird experience and perspective is that I just turned 37. Mm-hmm. And my dad died when he was 37. And not only that, he died 10 days after he turned 37.
Yeah.
So on that like 37 and 10 days a year old mark for me,
Yeah.
I really got wigged out.
Yeah, I have a friend who lost a mom at 11, and when she was 11, and she just turned the age her mom, and like she was having panic attacks. Like it really like
it
got in
really
her head.
really wigged me out, and I had COVID at the same time, so it was just like this like
What's happening?
bing bam boom.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just a very strange thing to think about and experience of like, you know, like outliving your parent.
Yeah.
You know, and then like I see kids and I'm like, oh my God, like more and more I see like, 'cause, you know, our friends are having kids and our friends' kids are like getting older. And I'm like, whoa, when that happened, whoa,
Yeah.
like I never really saw it in that way, you know?
Yeah.
And also as a defense mechanism, I really never really looked and was like, you were just a little kid, like looking at myself. I never, because it was just me and I never processed it that way or thought about it. So like I've had to like journal to myself as a kid and like keep little pictures of me in my journal with like me and my dad and like write to that kid. And it's like a wild experience. Like, and I never ever address it. Years ago, me and 2 friends, we worked in a sober living house and we all had the same therapist. And she had us do like a couple group sessions. And in one of the group sessions, we had to write a letter to our childhood self and like read it. So my friend did it. And then my other friend, and I froze and was like stuttering. And I said, I'm not doing this. I just got up and left. And like we joke about it now, but it's like, oh, wow, that was like really weird.
Yeah.
Especially since you're
But
passing up stage time.
I like, right? I like could not look at that kid. Like he was a different human.
Yeah.
It's weird, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know where I went with all that, but it's fucking gnarly to be that age when something like that happens.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's like I always saw my dad as such an old dude. Like he was always so much older, and then when he died, everyone's like, he was so young, and I'm like, yeah, but he was an old guy. And then now I'm 37, and I'm like, am I young or old? I don't know. It's all perspective, I guess. You know?
And I mean, not to stay on this too much longer, but I kind of what Ansley was asking, it piqued my interest a little bit because your mom lost a good man, a support system. You know, like clearly you lost a father too, but like the luckiness of what your mom had is rare, right? And then, like looking back on that, do you feel like how am I asking this question?
Well, because you can't understand that when you're young because you don't understand how hard relationships are, right?
No,
so
yeah.
like you can't comprehend like
No.
it's just like, oh, it's a person, you know, like you know, like and then
Well, that's the thing. A lot of things happened and were put into place and everything that I just didn't understand as a kid. And, you know, now as an adult, I have so much more like empathy and compassion for my mom and like understanding. Whereas, you know, a kid growing up, I had so much like anger and disdain and, you know, like we really butted heads for a while. But like the sad fact of the matter is she was 40 and she lost her husband and had to raise a lunatic son alone. You know, it was just me and my mom or my whole life. And, you know, she's such a superhero and such an amazing woman, and it took me some time to step back and realize that, you know, because when you're so in it, you're like, you know, why is she acting this way? And you don't understand it, you know. And then everything is revealed in time. Like I said it earlier in the podcast, like you'll understand when you're older. Like the only thing that can really give you true knowledge is just the slow turning of time, you know.
Yeah, that is a heart chakra unlocked.
Yes.
That was, I mean,
kind of beautiful.
Yeah, and it was, and I did ask you to speak on that a little longer than we typically have a guest speak on that. But you were saying such amazing things that I felt like these things that you're saying can definitely impact people in a way that would be helpful.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, also too, I just want to say, I feel like, and I don't want to, I don't have all the answers. I'm only speaking from my experience, whatever. But I do feel that, like, I think, what is it? The largest population of, like, from like 18 to 24 is the largest amount we've ever had currently, right? Like the amount of people that are between the age of 18 and 24 are the largest percentage that it's ever been in that age group, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
You don't know anything when you're a young kid, you know, like you need experience, you need things to happen. You need life to happen and to be under your belt before you can like really truly understand stuff. Like I understand passion, but so many like young people are like, this is the way it is and this and blah, blah. And you're like, no, dude, just fucking chill out, sit back, relax. Cause this is going to get real fucking wild, you know, like all this shit I thought I knew at fucking, you know, 18, 20, 25, whatever, is like totally flipped, you know? Sure. And I think the only thing that can really do that is like time. I mean, like really, you know, listening to the elders and, you know, the wisdom of the old, I think is, and that's one thing I'm embracing is like the older I get, the more I'm like grateful for the knowledge I've accrued and the experiences I have, where I'm grateful for these terrible things because it's made me who I am, rather than looking at it with like anger and why and self-pity in it. Because I did live that way for a while, you know, so I can definitely empathize with that. But I feel like the older I've gotten, the more I've come to appreciate those things. Not like, you know, I'm so glad it happened, but I appreciate it for what it is. It made me what I am and who I am and how I view things. And for me to still look at it with anger and regret, it's going to get me nowhere, you know? So I don't know. Sorry for that tangent.
No, that's great. A double heart chakra unlocked.
Yes.
Hell yeah. Ansley, let's go.
All right. So this is your throat chakra.
Oh, boy.
What is a favorite
Reminds me of being
lie?
back in jail.
What is a favorite lie that you have told? And you get extra karmic points if it's a lie that's still in rotation.
Favorite lie? Whew, boy. I really hate lying. I'm not good at it. I lie. I used to lie when I was drinking to like get out of trouble and like whatever, but I just feel so much shame in lying and hiding. And, you know, like if I tell like one white lie, even if it's inconsequential to like you and your experience, it like weighs on me to the point where it ruins my day. And I'm like, oh, I'm a piece of shit. Oh, I hate it. So I like hate lying. Stealing, I'm right with, but lying, I hate. So I try so hard not to lie and just to be honest and accept the consequences of that. But I will say a big part of, you know, living in addiction is lying to keep your house of cards together. And one lie. And also, this lie I've made amends for. The people are aware of it. It's all been forgiven. It's all good. But
It's going to be a good one.
when I was in...
pretty pumped about it.
Well, it's funny because when I was in college, I stopped going to class. I stopped doing everything. So I would just sit in my room and drink. And I got drunk I was a fucking mess, dude. And I lied and went to all my professors and was like, look, I haven't been in class because I went to rehab for drug and alcohol. I sold my books and computer for crack. I am sober now and I'm doing great. And so they all gave me, I was going to fail out of school. So they all gave me incompletes and said, you have to take an extra semester, complete the courses, and we'll retroactively like give you the grades or whatever so you won't fail out. And I was like, okay. So I legitimately did that. I took an extra semester. I took 2 semesters of college in 1 semester while I worked, while I student taught, while I was still drinking and doing drugs, and I did it all, and I graduated. And then when I got sober, as a part of the amends process, I went back and like told these professors, like, this is what happened, this and that. And they were like, they were cool with it. They understood. They were great. But the funny thing is, when I was going to these professors, I was truly drinking. I had told them I was sober, but, I didn't drink before I went in. And I was kind of shaking a little because I was starting to get early, DTs. And I was like, I think I'm getting like a cold or like the flu or something. Yeah. But it played to my bit because I really looked like I'm really blah, blah. But the reality is, the funny thing is, in a year, I ended up in rehab anyway. So in a year, I was addicted to drugs. In a year, all that shit happened. So it's like, I literally, it was a lie, but it was almost like a prediction of the future.
Yeah. Wait, so have you ever done crack?
No.
That's hilarious.
No.
It's like, because that is like, if I was a teacher, as soon as you say the word crack, I'm like, all right, you got it.
Yeah.
You got it. What do you need
well,
to do?
Dude, the fucked up thing is, like, they didn't ask for any proof. They didn't ask for anything. Literally, they were like, all right, we believe you. Now they would need this, that, the other. Like, you could look at your Instagram or like your Facebook posts or whatever. I mean, it was really the wild west, man. It was, woo.
Yeah.
But I righted all those wrongs, and, so that was.
It's just funny to me that you lied about doing crack. That's like, it's hilarious to me. Yeah. I sold my books for crack.
Yeah, I know.
Did you plan what you were going to tell them, like rehearse it before you went in?
I kind of winged
it.
Kind of went in there and winged it.
It sounds like it.
Yeah. Dude, I'll never, for one class, we had to like do some sort of presentation on like a Joyce Carol Oates novel or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And so I didn't really prepare, and I just went up and did each character like I was running a talk show, and I had each character on there like, this is who I am, and he said this and blah, blah. And I improvised all of it, and it crushed.
Hell yeah.
And the teacher, I'll never forget, she was like, that was amazing. How much of that did you write? And so cocky, I was like, I didn't prepare any of that. Oh, no. I just walked in and did it. And she failed me. Yeah. Because I didn't do any work for it. But she was so impressed thinking I did all this stuff. And I'm like, I should have just had a little bit of humility.
Just a tad. Yeah. That same thing happened to me for a public speaking class. Like, I went in and I completely winged a speech about I don't remember what it was. But then afterwards, like, standing ovation from the class. It was funny. It was gripping. It was everything. And then same exact thing. The teacher asked, "How much of that did you prepare?" And I was just like,
"Right."
Kidding
oh
me?
My God. I'm gonna get my degree right now. You're gonna recognize how good I am.
Technically, I should be teaching this class.
Yeah.
And he failed me.
Yeah. Turns out they don't reward bullshit.
Nah.
They should though. I mean,
I know, right? That's a talent.
Yeah.
That is a talent.
Get you through a lot of work.
Yeah, but that that's a Chakra Unlocked.
Oh, for sure.
That's a Chakra Unlocked. And we're gonna. You want to do this next one?
All right. So this is your third eye chakra.
Yeah. So we're out of the physical chakras. We're into the metaphysical chakras now.
All right.
All right. So, what is something that you thought was separate, but as you've grown older, maybe gotten wiser, you now see as the same?
Race and class. Just kidding. They're separate. Anyway, what is something I've seen as separate and I realize that they're now whole?
It could be whole or it could be similar. Like in the past, like these two different types of groups of people seemed very different, but you realize, like people extreme on two different ends of the spectrum, but then we all they're just crazy people screaming.
They're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Now they're
something I saw was very different in the past, but now I see they're more the same. I don't know. I guess like the easy answer is like the extremism on the left and the right.
Right.
They're basically the same in different uniforms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what do you see as their similarity now?
I mean, I don't know. I would equate I don't know.
Or how about this? Do you want to go to the next question and come back to this one and see if you might want to have a different answer?
Sure.
Right? Yeah. We've done that before and it worked.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's all right, Ansley. Go to the last question.
This is your crown chakra, your connection to the spiritual world. Yes. Mm-hmm. So it's a two-part question.
Yes.
So what is one thing you can't give up and why?
Uh-huh.
And what would giving it up mean?
Woo! One thing I can't give up and why? Cigarettes, because I love them. And what would it mean if I gave them up? I'd have no other addictions. That is my last thing.
Yeah.
And that's my excuse. I've given up drugs. I've given up booze. Let me just have this. But it's like, no, this is like the other question. What I thought was so different, but it turns out it's the same.
Yeah.
Cigarettes and booze. They're both killing me at different rates. No, I mean, really, I that's one thing I should give up. And I just don't think I'm ready for it yet. But it is slowly killing me. But I have such an I get addicted to everything.
Yeah.
So it's just an excuse for me to keep smoking.
Have you tried to quit smoking?
In the past, yeah. I tried at the beginning of the pandemic because I was afraid of the lung thing. Mm-hmm. And after 50 days, I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Why are you quitting smoking at the hardest point in civilization?
Yeah. It's also, how do I say this? Because smoking is almost part of your comedic brand. Right? Like, if I see a picture of Ian Fidance without a cigarette, I'm like, where's the cigarette? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like.
Well, I mean, I guess that'll just be the next evolution of me, the part of me that quit smoking, because I'm going to always keep moving forward, no matter if I'm doing this or that or the other. I'll just be who I am then.
Yeah. I don't know if it's true or not. We used to say everybody needs a vice.
Right.
Of some sort.
Yes.
So it's like, how do you find a vice that's not one that's slowly killing you?
Yeah.
Or not destroying your life in some way.
Well, it was riding a bike. I mean, I'm obsessive with that, but
Nice.
But I hurt my back, and now I have a hernia. It's looking more and more like I have to get surgery, and so I just haven't worked out or ridden a bike since October, and so now my new vice is fucking eating like a fat fucking pig. I had meats and cheeses every night. Yummy, yummy, yum, yum. Woo-wee. Combos, almonds, and wasabi beans from Wawa, all stolen.
It's like two vices in one.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Pretty sick.
Yeah.
Oh man! So we'll go back to and just speak on this for a little bit longer, or let's just try again. But so back to the things that are separate that you're now seeing as the same.
My addictions.
Yeah.
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 I whether it's cigarettes, booze, drugs, sex, money, job, exercising, people, thoughts. I get addicted to everything. And for me to be like, oh, well, I'm only addicted to that is like fooling myself. So I have to work on myself even harder so that I don't become addicted to one thing or the other. I have to recognize that all these things, no matter what name they have, are the same, and they are trying to fill some sort of inadequacy I have inside myself that needs to be focused on more than filling it with X, Y, or Z. Does
comedy fall into that?
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
without a doubt. I mean, I started comedy when I was living in a halfway house in Delaware. I had just gotten sober, and that was like the thing, and that became my obsession. That became my God. That became my driving force. That became my be all end all. And that it fucking drove me to drink again. Not because of, I'm not doing well or this or that. Just that I put so much focus in this one thing that I had no existence outside of that, And so like, one thing I've learned in time through, walking this earth is like balance and spreading things out evenly rather than just like, I'm putting all my eggs right here and then this basket, I'll worry about it later, like I have to. And that's a daily struggle, is trying to balance everything, because I know I'm not the only one, but I very much have the ability and personality of just like putting everything into this one thing, or like, and all of it's a distraction from the things I need to do to better myself, so.
Yeah. That was a double chakra unlocked. That was a third eye and a crown chakra unlocked. Mm-hmm. Ian, how do you feel? Do you feel enlightened? That's the end.
Yeah, I feel enlightened enough to know I need to go have a cigarette.
All right, we can do that. You want to take a cigarette break between this and the Patreon?
Yeah, is that all right?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
And I have to pee.
Yeah, but mostly the cigarette, right?
Yeah. And one is different, one is the same. They're both the same because I'm going to pee and smoke at the same time out back.
Awesome, man. First, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. This is great.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And be sure to donate to the Patreon so that you can see what else this guy has left. He's such an open book.
I know.
What does he have left?
Open me up and read me, baby.
Hell yeah.
Let me tell you, there's a lot of chapters and a lot of volumes.
And then you can also check out Ian's podcast, Bye Guys.
Yes, Bye Guys on Gas Digital, as well as YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. Bye Guys podcast, and Sopranos Prima Volta, my Sopranos watch along podcast with Sam Roberts, available at youtube.com/notsam. He's seen Sopranos like 10 times. I've never seen it.
Oh, nice.
So we're watching it together, and I am becoming more and more Italian.
I've been watching this happen.
Yes.
On social media. It is hilarious.
Yes.
Dude, it is the
I bought this
funniest
watch
thing.
yesterday. Dude, the wedding was in Philly at the Crystal Tea Room.
Yeah.
Do you know that
Yeah.
place?
Yeah.
On the 9th floor of a Macy's.
Nice.
I bought this watch at the Macy's on the way up so I could look more Italian. Woo!
That is awesome.
Hey!
Yes. And of course, follow Ian on all of the social medias.
Oh, my man.
Yeah.
iAnimal69. Thank you.
Dude, the best name.
Thank you.
Because it is. He says it iAnimal, but it's Eanimal.
Eanimal, yeah.
Yeah.
I say iAnimal so people know how to spell it, but it's
Exactly.
Eanimal, yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
best.
Nice.
The best.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right?
Yep.
Easiest to remember. I never have a hard time
My
remembering
man.
that. Yeah. So, thank you so much for all the support. Donate to the Patreon so you can see what else we got going on with this guy. We are out.
See ya.
Thank you.
Two Jack Rose, two Jack